Chapter 2. 1 foot out of the car window. Summary. Katsuki wants to know if Izuku is going to stay or go. The morning sun stirs him awake. He feels warm. Maybe too warm. Why he didn't cover up the windows when he got home? He has no clue. Something tightens around him. What the fuck? He shoots up and ends up hitting his head on the ceiling. Ah, motherfucker! He screams and falls back while holding his head. Something is moving beside him. His head swifts to his right. Green curls peek out of the sleeping bag. Oh, right. Izuku. To be honest, he didn't really want to get involved in other people's problems, but somehow he couldn't walk away after hearing heart-wrenching sobs in the park. He was just walking around trying to find something to pass the time. But the boy with green hair and sad eyes had looked lost and defeated, and he's seen what happens to the lost boys in the dark alleys. He didn't want Izuku to end up being just another point in ever-increasing statistics. Somehow, the boy woke up the protective instincts Katsuki didn't even know he had. Not for other people, anyway. He hears soft mumbling from the boy next to him. Weird. It was definitely weird to spend time with someone. Izuku stirs beside him. Morning, Katsuki said. That made Izuku's eyes open wide and him jolt up and repeat Katsuki's wake-up call by also hitting his head on the ceiling. Yeah, I did that too. 10 out of 10 would not recommend. Katsuki grinned. Ah, fuck, that hurts. Izuku mumbles. I didn't know you could swear, Katsuki said, laughing. Well, it's not like there's anyone to tell me not to anymore, Izuku says while rubbing his eyes. Interesting. This was a whole different side from what he saw yesterday. Maybe it was the trauma of just getting kicked out of his home? Not that it mattered. Katsuki liked this version better. It feels more real. So, do you go to school or something? Katsuki asked, and earning himself an angry glare from Izuku. Not a morning person, then. What is it to you? Izuku decides to give an answer. Well, nothing really. I'm just trying to figure out if you're gonna stay or not. Because if you are, we're gonna need to find you some stuff, like yesterday. Katsuki answers while looking at his nails, trying to appear bored. In reality, he was really nervous. What if the boy wanted to go? Katsuki's been alone for so long, and even if he would not admit it out loud, it was nice to have someone to spend time with, even if he spent most of the time looking at Izuku cry. Wow, maybe he should get out more. Izuku stares down and quietly starts to mumble. It's annoying as fuck. Katsuki is biting his cheek hard enough to taste his own blood to not bark at him to shut the fuck up and think like a normal fucking person. But he decides to wait anyway. You would let me stay? Izuku whispers like he can't believe that someone could even tolerate his existence. I mean, I wouldn't stop you or whatever. It's not like I care what you do. But you would probably get mugged and beaten up if you would be alone in an alley mumbling to yourself like you're doing right now. But, like I said, not that I care. So, what's it gonna be, you nerd? Katsuki asks, raising his eyebrows and trying to hide his blushing cheeks. I would like to stay, if that's okay. Izuku says, not looking at the blonde. Okay then. Well, we have much to do. First things first, we should go brush our teeth. Even if we are homeless, I'm not gonna let you live here if you intend to be some dirty bastard who doesn't care about hygiene. And then we should go look for a few things from the city. There's also a soup kitchen on the way, so we could see if we could get some breakfast from there. Izuku nods and gathers his essential things, and they head over to the public bathroom a few blocks over. A few hours later, they're heading for the soup kitchen. Are you sure they're not going to ask questions about why 2 minors are in the kitchen when they're supposed to be at school? Izuku asked for the 10th time. Yeah, I am, dipshit, so stop asking. It's not my first rodeo, Katsuki said, sounding annoyed. He could see the other boys doubting him, but luckily he's smart enough to not voice it out. Wise choice. You are some serious case of a space cadet, Freckles, Katsuki said. Izuku had started to mumble some nonsense again and was getting behind. Katsuki would bet the other boy could walk straight to a wall without even realizing it before it would be too late. That would be hilarious. So, where are we gonna find me all the stuff you said I needed? Izuku asked and sped up so he could walk beside Katsuki. We have a few different places. I'm not really sure we're gonna find them all, but hopefully we can find some. Rest will have to wait. On today's agenda, we are looking for a sleeping bag and gloves. Anything else is just a bonus, Katsuki said. They got some questioning looks from the soup kitchen, but they were quickly left alone. Few people had seen him before and knew not to ask him too many questions. He wouldn't answer them anyway. They stuffed a few extra pieces of bread in their pockets on the way out. If someone noticed, no one said anything. Chapter 3. What if the wall knocks back? Summary. Just a little getting to know each other and looking for stuff. Some light angst and meeting an old friend of Katsuki's. Okay, I know I'm impatient, but hey, more reading for you. For a person who hasn't been writing anything before, the story has come out surprisingly easy. But that might change. I'm still surprised that I've written almost a 10,000 word. I'm still surprised that I've written almost 1,000 words and 10,000 words in just a few days. But let's try not to get too excited. I have many ideas, but I just need to get them in a correct order so the storyline doesn't jump all over the place. Thank you for all the kudos and comments, they mean the world to me. As always, let me know if there's something to correct or what you think of the story. Chapter 3. Izuku. Fuck! Katsuki yells while kicking the empty can on the ground. Despite their best efforts, they have not found a sleeping bag for him. Luckily, they found a really good pair of black leather gloves behind a dumpster at one of the alleys. Maybe we'll find one tomorrow? Izuku tries. Katsuki lets out a familiar sound and doesn't respond. Not that Izuku expects him to. They've only spent a little over a day together, but he's learned to not mind Katsuki's sudden mood swings and outbursts. It was kind of comforting to know someone had so many emotions when he himself had learned to hide anything but extreme sadness and anxiety. Maybe in time he could learn to show his emotions too. We should get something to eat. Any ideas? Katsuki asked. Not really, Izuku answers, scratching his head. After a day of dumpster diving, he was hungry, but what he desperately needed more was a hot shower. Maybe we should head over to the gym a few blocks over. We might be able to get a quick shower if the owner is around. He usually lets me take one if I'm around at the time he closes, Katsuki says, and changes direction. It was getting dark. Surely the gym wouldn't be open for long, Izuku thought. As they walked over, the owner is at the door, closing the doors and turning over the close sign. But just as the door closes, he notices them. They stop walking, and Katsuki and the man stare at each other in silence. The door opens slowly, and the man leans over the doorway. Izuku guesses that the man was probably in his 60s. He had little to no hair left, and was clearly more fit than most people his age. Well, he did own a gym. I see you've made a friend. Good for you. Although, I don't know why someone would want to watch your ugly face all day, the man says, smiling. That was rude, and possibly dangerous, depending on what mood Katsuki is in. Izuku wouldn't want to risk, but hey, if the man wanted a quick funeral, that was his business. Izuku expects Katsuki to blow up, but when the boy starts laughing in response, Izuku is amazed. Who knew the blonde had such a nice laugh? Yeah, well, you and me both, old man. The man watches Izuku with interest, but doesn't ask any questions. Like he already knows he's not going to get any answers. You know the drill, boy. I'm leaving in 30 minutes, and by the time I'm at the door, I expect you and your buddy there to be out, the man says and holds the door as Katsuki walks over. Thanks, old man. We will, Katsuki says and keeps holding the door open as the man disappears inside a small office near the door. Well, what are you waiting for, asshole? You heard the man, Katsuki says and pulls Izuku by the elbow. Izuku stumbles inside and Katsuki leans over him to close the door. Then the blonde leads them to the locker room, where they quickly get out of their dirty clothes and rush to the showers. The warm water feels amazing, but Izuku can't relax enough to not look over the bench where his bag is. Not that he thinks the man will steal from him, but there's just his most valuable possessions, and it's not like he can afford to lose any of them. Too soon, they have to get out of the showers. They are drying themselves off by using small towels in the corner. They throw their towels in their designated hamper and leave the locker room. There's a small bag in front of the door. Katsuki picks it up, not looking inside, and knocks twice at the wall of the office. There's one knock in response, and they're out of the door. "What is that?" Izuku asks, and stares at the bag curiously. "Probably dinner," Katsuki says, not turning around. Izuku froze over. Why would there be dinner for them? Why would the man who was already kind enough to let them shower also be giving away food? Was it some kind of trick? What if... Look, don't make a big deal about it. I've known him a long time. I went to one of his free self-defense classes soon after I was kicked out. He picked up on that I had nowhere to go and offered to let me shower after the closing time as long as I would be out of there by the time he would leave. I guess it was his way of making sure that I wasn't dead or some shit. After a while, there would be a bag of food by the door when I left. First, I ignored it, but after the third time, the old man started to stand in the door and push the bag to me until I took it. It was embarrassing as hell, so now he leaves it by the door. I knock on the door as thanks, and he knocks back. We don't talk about it. End of story. Katsuki says. "Okay," Izuku responds. "Okay." Katsuki takes a big breath and starts walking. The meal was so good and warm. The old man had somehow made sure that the food was safely wrapped inside of a tin foil. There was spicy curry with white rice and some vegetables. He had also put a large thermos filled with hot miso soup and a smaller thermos filled with hot water and 2 tea bags. "We need to thank the man the next time we see him," Izuku says, and tries not to burn his tongue. Katsuki hums in response. After eating half of the food and half of the soup, they wrap the food up tight and put it in the glove box of the car. They wouldn't have to get up so early when they already have breakfast. They spread their blankets and quickly fell asleep. The following weeks went by fast. It took 3 weeks for them to find Izuku a sleeping bag, but when they did, they also hit the jackpot, as Katsuki said. They had been dumpster diving behind the mall and found a set of camping gear, which included a tent, a small pack bag, and some cooking supplies. And it was also intact. They also found warm shoes that fit both of them. It was definitely a good day. Katsuki had taught him what and where to look for food and supplies, how to determine what was edible and what was not. If you're not sure, don't risk it. The best spots to find anything useful were usually behind a bakery at the other end of the beach, and a small grocery store a few blocks after that. It took them a long time to get there, but usually there was no one else around and the food was mostly fresh. What was starting to worry them was that winter has really brought over the cold air and even colder nights. They both have sleeping bags, but they know it wouldn't be long until they have to find a new place to spend the nights. Maybe somewhere they could make a fire or take cover from possible snowstorms. They didn't have anything warm. They didn't have anything to warm up the car in the trash tower, and the snow would make it hard to get there without leaving obvious footsteps and tracks on the snow. And it was a really good place to stay at summer, so they wouldn't want to risk the place being exposed. "What did you do at Christmas when you lived at home?" Katsuki asked suddenly, a week after the so-called jackpot incident. They were in the middle of a search for a new home, but it had been hours with no luck. "Watch TV, I guess. My mom was usually working, so there wasn't really much to do. It's not like we had any money for presents or some fancy food. Although, I'm sure I wouldn't have gotten any, even if there were," Izuku says. "How about you?" Mostly the same. Although my parents used to host this big dinner where my mom and dad would invite a whole lot of people in our house to celebrate. I wasn't allowed to go, so I was stuck in my room. I always wanted a Christmas tree with pretty ornaments and lights and shit. I could just sit there and drink hot chocolate, Izuku says, blurts. Katsuki turns to look at him, and he can feel the blush creeping up on his cheeks. I know it's stupid, and that kind of thing isn't even important anyway. I just really hated that I had to be alone, Izuku whispers, feeling embarrassed. That's not stupid, Katsuki says and smacks him behind his head. It's okay to want some things for yourself, dumbass. Then there was something you wanted when you were little? Izuku turns to look at Katsuki, who's blushing and avoiding his eyes. There was! I can see it in your face! Spill! Izuku screams and starts to jump around Katsuki to get him to look at him. Fine, nerd, I'll tell you. Just stop jumping around like some sort of fucking Easter bunny, Katsuki says and stops Izuku hopping around by grabbing him by the shoulders. There was this one Christmas when I saw an all-night walkie-talkie in a magazine. You know the one I'm talking about, right? Katsuki asks, and Izuku nods. I wanted that and a black hoodie from 3 Days Grace, and I thought that if I was good and asked my parents at the right time, they could get them. But instead, I got smacked in the head and a long speech about what a worthless piece of shit I was and that I didn't deserve to have nice things. So, good times. Katsuki starts to walk. You are not worthless, Kachan. You know that, right? And I don't think what you wanted was stupid. That limited edition walkie-talkie would have been fucking awesome, Izuku says, jogging to catch up. Whatever, Katsuki says. Alright, that is the end of chapter 3. I hope you guys liked this video, and if you liked this chapter, please go and give kudos to the author. If you like this video, please comment, like, subscribe, whatever you want. I love interacting with you guys. Anyway, the next video should be out tomorrow or the next day. But I will see you guys next time. Bye!